What's up, y'all? It's your boy Chef AC. Chef AC. Yeah, Chef AC. Today we gonna be watching fun food facts that you won't believe are true. Now I know we all big back, so we can learn a thing or two. You feel me? Um, Comment down below. What are your favorite foods? I'm a big back, so Wendy's that 4 for 4 always gonna stay by my side. Amen. Let's get to it.
Because of the facts behind the food.
Oh,
Did you know some of the incredible stories about chocolate chip cookies? Food is the gift
Let's
that
get
keeps
to it.
on giving. Not just taste-wise, but also because of the facts behind the food. Did you know some of the incredible stories about chocolate chip cookies, PB&Js, or the Humble McNugget? Join me as I check out some major fun facts with food. I'm Mike with List25, and here are 25 fun food facts you won't believe are true. 25. Honey lasts thousands of years. Does
Makes
honey
sense.
have an
They've been-
expiration date?
That makes sense. They've been using where does honey even come from? I don't even I don't even remember, but makes sense.
Amazingly, it doesn't. We have a lot to thank the bees for because they produce a substance that can last thousands of years. People in modern times have been known to eat honey dating back to ancient Egypt. Unlike regular food, it naturally
Dang.
rejects any icky things that could
Ancient
spoil it.
Egypt?
Make sure it's airtight and out of the sun, and you should be fine. Be careful though, and remember we are not nutritionists. 24. The plurality of pineapple. We call it a pineapple.
Isn't the
But
the
truthfully,
pearl
it's
of
more like
pineapple
pineapples.
pineapples? Yeah.
What looks like one fruit is actually multiple.
You're
The pineapple
lying.
grows from lots of flowers with berries, which join forces into one juicy, delicious mass. That's why the exterior of the pineapple looks the way
So
it
it's
does. It's a
ultra
bunch of
fruity?
stuff all jammed into a single food item. 23. You can eat the labels on fruit, but I wouldn't recommend it. While our instinct is to peel the labels off,
Why did
say
they show
an apple,
peaches, though?
it doesn't have to be that way. If you forget it's there, or that label is really stuck on there, you can reportedly consume it
What do you
along
mean
with
by
the rest
that?
of the fruit. Some sources state that labels are edible, others warn that it isn't supposed to be eaten. Either way, the consensus is that you won't be harmed by a fruit or veggie label.
All right, let's be real. Let's be real. Who's eating the labels off of the fruit? Cuz that's as big as you can get, like on everything, bro. That's as big as you can get. Like it takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds to take off that label. That's all I got to say.
They just don't recommend you do it. I mean, it could get stuck in your throat for one thing. Again, not a nutritionist, just saying. 22. American sugar consumption. It's no surprise to hear that people eat a lot more sugar now
let me
than
go
they
back.
did centuries ago. Just saying. 22. American sugar consumption. It's no surprise to hear that people eat a lot more sugar now than they did centuries ago. But what are the actual stats? In an absolutely mind-blowing piece of news, it was revealed that Americans in the 21st
What is our actual consumption? The average American adult consumes about 68 grams. I know that's one of y'all of sugar per day. That's me too, which is about to. Most Americans today consume an astonishing 45,000% more sugar per year than the average person did in the 1700s. Because they didn't got it. They didn't have it like we did. You know what I'm saying? We got McDonald's around the corner. We got Taco Bell around the corner. We got Arby's around the corner. We got Menchie's around the corner. You know what I'm saying? We got our sugar supply around the corner. You know what I'm saying? I'm real big. I know.
century consumed 4,500% more sugar than they did 300 years ago. That makes my teeth hurt just to read that out loud. 21. Jefferson and Hemings present mac and cheese. Thomas Jefferson, the American founding father, achieved many things. His greatest
He invented
achievement?
mac and cheese?
Maybe it was introducing the U.S. to mac and cheese, alongside his chef James Hemings.
I'm about to say,
Hemings
I
is
know a
known
black
as the first
person.
American
I
to
know.
study cooking in France. He was also a slave of Jefferson's as well.
Hold on. I'm about to say, I was like, I know no white man. Ooh, what happened? Hello. It's like, what happened? Bruh, I know no white man ain't introduced no mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? When I'm in the cookout, you know what I'm saying? everybody who's made good mac and cheese, it's always been someone black. Okay, it's always, bro, it's always been someone black. Let's keep that stack. So if you told me a white man was making some mac and cheese for me, I would have pushed it to the right, bro.
Well as being a part of his family, so the story is bittersweet. However, his knowledge and Jefferson's love for pasta combined to leave a creamy, irresistible legacy.
Creamy?
They didn't invent it, but we're glad they made it. 20. Space beef.
Pause.
The first man in space was Russian Yuri Gagarin, who blasted off in 1961. It was a whole new experience for mankind. Unfortunately, his dinner was less than epic. Apparently, Gagarin had to eat a paste
The
made
heck
from
is
beef,
that?
which came in a tube. I guess it was like eating really funky toothpaste? Oh, did I mention the paste contained liver? Even more delightful. Hey guys, just jumping in here real quick to tell you some exciting news. Also have wheat about table and grab your berries and roses. Remember that classic song by Seal, Kiss from a Raspberry?
Why you look like my
Okay,
dad?
I got that wrong, but it's not so far-fetched. Why? Because a raspberry is technically a rose. It's part of the same plant family, alongside other surprising fruits such as apricots, cherries, and pears. Yes, a pear's a rose.
Cat.
I had no idea food was so confusing. Strawberries are not berries. 18. Almond and...
Did he just say strawberries are not berries? Then why does it have berry in the end of the word? That's like saying pineapples are not really apples. Because pineapples are apples, right? I don't know.
steak surprise. No, I'm not putting them together for a new and extremely weird taste combination like that one video we did. Click here to check that out. I'm talking about the protein content. Did you know there's approximately the same amount of protein in both almonds and steak? The experts say that 100 grams of almonds contain 28 grams of protein, compared to around 25 grams of steak. Of course, almonds carry a warning due to their cyanide content, so I should mention that chickpeas are an alternative and powerful source of protein.
Almonds are lethal?
17. Bananas versus mosquitoes. If you've been bitten by a mosquito and you're out of bite cream, then you might want to reach for a banana.
Bite cream.
Use
what
the
do we
gunky
mean?
side of a banana peel on the affected area, rubbing it like a fruity sponge.
Nah, because I was gonna let that go, and I can't let that go. Creamy substance gets injected from a mosquito into you. What do you mean by that? Let's unpack that.
Doing this, you're getting the oil from your banana into the bite, which is then soothed. All natural, all pretty crazy. 16. Figs are not vegan.
The heck is a fig?
You would think that a fig is safe to eat for
Ooh,
vegans,
that
right?
look like
Actually, some figs aren't
familiar.
vegan friendly, depending on how strict you are. Why is that? Because figs are naturally pollinated by egg-laying wasps. For some, this is a step too far, but others don't mind the idea that insects did their business in a fig. You could say they got figgy with it. Or you could not say that. Experts are keen to stress that a large amount of figs in the US do their own pollinating, so no wasp content, though this isn't a guarantee. 15. White Castle.
trash.
McDonald's is the name associated with
That's
fast
my
food
king.
in America. Does this mean they were the first to offer a fast food service? Nope. The restaurant chain White Castle introduced the idea to the US back in 1921. They apparently helped make hamburgers a big part of the American diet. White Castle's super hygienic locations took customers' minds off the old idea that burgers were unsafe to eat.
Yo, 5
14.
cents? 5 cents for a burger? Bro, imagine how big I could be in this day and age. Like, I can grab like 100, right? I can grab a bunch.
Andy Warhol's Crazy Sandwich. Legendary pop artist Andy Warhol is famous for his image of soup cans, but he was actually more into sweet things at mealtimes. He also had some strange ideas on the subject. Rumor has it he would take 2 slices of bread and put a chocolate bar in the middle. This
The hell did you just say? He slapped 2 buns and chocolate? Might as well get an Oreo at that point. Hello?
sandwich was reportedly seen as a type of cake by the eccentric artist. 13. We have pilgrims to thank for apples. If the Pilgrims hadn't landed
Let's
in
go,
what
Thanksgiving.
became the United States from England, the Americans wouldn't have apples. This is incredible to think about when you consider the roles apples play in US food history. The expression, as American as apple pie, comes to mind for starters. It all began stateside with an orchard planted at Massachusetts Bay
I
Colony
see a
in
black person right
1629.
there.
12. PB&J and WW2. The first peanut butter and jelly sandwich
what?
was mentioned in 1901.
By a white
That
person.
said, World War II gave this squishy, crunchy treat a boost in the 1940s. Servicemen found them an easy way to grab a bite while fighting Hitler, and there was no need to give them up once the war ended. They were in the national consciousness, and they were here to stay. Crunchy or smooth? Let me know in the comments below.
Crunchy.
Smooth.
Crunchy.
11. Beethoven's Ninth.
I'm gonna say why. Just real quick, I'm gonna say why. Crunchy because when you get that nutty bite in your mouth, it's just very soothing. Like,
Soup. Having written some of the meatiest symphonies in history, composer Ludwig van Beethoven must have had one hell of an appetite.
he's
In fact-
scary.
11. Beethoven's Ninth. Soup. Having written some of the meatiest symphonies in history, composer Ludwig
Look at him. He look like he like meat.
van Beethoven must have had one hell of an appetite. In fact, Beethoven was a soup guy. He reportedly enjoyed such
God.
delicious flavors as, bread soup with raw eggs. The great man was famously deaf, and it seemed his sense of taste may have been shot also. Have you ever tried some of the weird sounding foods on this list? I mean, maybe you have some fun food facts of your own you want to tell us about.
I do.
Watch the rest of the video in
Trust.
case we're covering it, and if not, let me know in the comments below. 10. People steal a lot of cheese. Cheese is pretty expensive, so naturally some people want to steal it to get their dairy fix. This isn't anything new though. Back in 2012, for example, it was being reported that shoplifters targeted cheese as a tasty treat.
Out of
In
all
fact,
things,
British celebrity chef Anthony Worrell Thompson went public after stealing cheese from a store, so it isn't always the hard up who do it. It's actually the most stolen food item in the world. Around 4% of the planet's cheese supply is given a 5-figure discount
bro,
every
cheese. Out of all things, you're stealing cheese. What would I go for actually? I don't know. Comment down below what you'd steal first. If you were in a grocery store and you could only pick one item to steal, food of course, one food item to steal, what would it be? Because mine is not cheese. I just don't know what it would be.
year. 9. Paid in chocolate. The creator of chocolate chip cookies must have made a fortune for their tasty invention, right? Wrong. Chef Ruth Wakefield from Massachusetts first came up with the idea in 1938, and the Nestle company liked what they saw. After all, she had used their chocolate bars in her baking process. What did they offer Wakefield to promote her recipe? A grand total of $1. If that was all the money she received, then I can't see her being too upset. Why? Because Nestle also provided her with a lifetime supply of chocolate and a deal to work with them on future projects. Although Nestle sucks as a company, so.
I know
8.
you like their cookies.
The crazy
though.
connection between peanuts and dynamite. Here's a fact that'll blow your mind and drive you nuts. Peanuts are kind of an ingredient in dynamite.
What?
So, dynamite uses nitroglycerin, which is the liquid glycerol mixed with nitric acid.
So when we
Where does
blow up
glycerol
things,
come
we're
from?
blowing
In part
up
from
nutty
peanut oil. So without peanuts, we
substances?
wouldn't have
Okay.
old school explosives. 7. Tea bags were invented by accident. Tea in bags was more of a transportation thing than a drinking thing. At least, according to a fun story about Thomas Sullivan, a tea importer in the early 20th century who placed his precious tea in silk baggies. His merchants then decided to boil the tea in the bags rather than empty them first. Why would people do that? We're not sure, and the accuracy of the story has been questioned anyway. 6. 1% burnt. Is there anything more horrible than burnt toast? Yes. That's according to 1% of the American public who actually like their toast served this way.
My
I'm
parents.
actually kind of surprised there's a niche for charred bread, but to each their own, I guess. The 2019 survey from polling company YouGov also discovered that 66% of Americans prefer their toast lightly done. 5.
I don't like mine done at all.
Seriously? I could have sworn it was Italian. The name lasagna comes from laganon, a Greek noodle. Italians were certainly involved in the promotion of lasagna, I mean, they brought it over the States, for example. But lasagna has its true origins in ancient Greece. Italy only heard about it through the Roman Empire,
was Italian.
i.e. soldiers took over the country and imposed all their food and culture. 4. All peppers are green.
Cap. I literally
Amazingly,
just
green
bought
peppers
red
are
and
young
green
peppers.
yesterday.
The older a pepper gets, the more
Right.
colorful it becomes. Sweet peppers, for instance, go from green to red. They can even turn purple.
I've seen brown.
Have you ever seen
How
a
can you
purple pepper
change that
before?
to green?
Bonus pepper fact, the orange kind is reportedly good for your eyes. 3. The Royal McNugget. There's a connection between the classic junk food at McNuggets and Buckingham Palace. Well, stick a crown on my head and call me Charlie. When they first came out in the 1980s, McNuggets weren't just any old fast food. Royal
what's
chef
that?
Rene Arend
Hold on.
was involved in developing the nugget recipe, making them surprisingly...
Hold on. we not gonna act like we didn't see that. What is that? That's the condiments they got back then? And why is it so why is it ashier than my knees? Yeah, that's crazy.
food. Royal chef Rene Arend was involved in developing the nugget recipe, making them surprisingly sophisticated. We don't know whether the royal family eats McDonald's, however, there were restaurants on the Crown Estate during the time of Queen Elizabeth. 2. Mussolini and garlic. Benito Mussolini was a brutal dictator, and his favorite foods sound pretty awful too. There are stories that he put chopped raw garlic into a salad with lemon juice for dinner.
That's good.
Mussolini was also a family man who enjoyed eating with the family. You had to be punctual, though. Good luck explaining to a literal fascist why you're late to the table. 1. Someone tried making nuts and gum for real. Remember that episode of The Simpsons where
Those are
Homer pulls the
two-
tin out of the cupboard?
Nuts and gum. Someone tried making nuts and gum for real. I don't know whether to say pause or yummy. Okay.
Nuts and gum for real. Remember that episode of The Simpsons where Homer pulls a tin out of the cupboard labeled nuts and gum? It's funny stuff. However, someone decided to make nuts and gum an actual thing. In 2016, food writer Laurel Randolph tried out the taste of bubblegum with salted nuts. Did it work? What do you think? The idea was
Yes.
created by Homer Simpson. The whole point is that it doesn't work. But she tried anyway, and that's what really counts. And those are some fun facts about real food.
Didn't he also have...
But what about fake food? Check out the video on some funked up recipes right here. And probably the one I mentioned earlier. Click it twice. Yeah.
Here's how we
Alright, that about wraps it up. If you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me, what other videos I should look at next. Alright? Peace.